Hey guys, it's Devin, and I want to share a little bit of my life with you here in Bali. I'm stuck here because of the pandemic, and I want to share with you the books I've collected and all my to-be reads and things that I'm trying to ambitiously get to while I am stuck here. Now, it's not that bad being stuck here. This is my second home. I've been out here for a bit, tried to go home in April, but JK, LOL, plot twist, I can't. So, I'm a bibliophile, like hands down. I thought I had a book buying problem, but really it's just like a meditative art for me to collect books. And when I travel, it's hard for me because I don't get to fulfill that passion so much because it's really not practical traveling with a bunch of books. Also, I have a huge stack of journals I've written out here, so it doesn't make sense to do that. But there's a used bookstore where I fulfill that side passion of mine, and it makes me feel so at home wherever I am when I have books. So anytime I walk into this living space and I have all my books, I feel better. So I want to share with you some stuff I've collected out here in the used bookstore and things that I've been reading. Also, if you've read any of these books that I've found and collected, I'd love to hear your feedback. So save me some time if one of these books totally sucks. And if it's super amazing, let me know that I should get to that first. So anyway, I have a couple different types of books that I've collected. Obviously, it's not super practical. It super sucks when I move. I've moved so many times since I've been out here. And my friend who helped me last time was like, seriously? And I was like, sorry, like, this is important to me. So when I read the stuff, I donate it back to the bookshop, or I get credit and I get more, that kind of thing. But this is what I've collected now. So I brought 4 books, very special books, out with me that are like self-development, educational, that kind of stuff. And I want to share some of this I've already read, but I want to reread, and I brought them out with me just so I really felt at home. Then I also have a stack of more like thriller, murder, mystery, kind of fast-paced books that I've picked up, one that I'm currently reading, and then a bunch of other novels that some of them are part of series and all that kind of stuff. So I just want to have fun and share with you guys a little bit about my life and some things that are exciting. And I love going to the used bookstore and like trying to find gems, and I don't know, I just get so happy. Does anybody else do that? I think there's like a name for it in Japanese, like somebody that collects books or something. And at home, I have so many bookshelves that if I never bought another book again, I would be entertained for a very long time, years potentially. So I have no idea if I'm even going to be able to get to most of these, but they're here and I feel better having them. So I currently usually read like multiple books at once. Usually I have like an educational or self-help book kind of like open or I pick through. I also have a bunch of stuff on my iBooks that I reference, more like reference books. But I don't normally buy novels on iBooks because, I don't know, I like a good book. And I like to kind of cut off from technology when I read. That's like part of my reading process, is like going on airplane mode and going into another world. So, alrighty, so I'm reading multiple books right now. There's also a couple really cool snags that I found at this used bookstore. So, where should I get started? I think I might leave the like self-development, more touching like heart books towards the end. It's funny because I went on this like binge bender for like years, studying human design, the gene keys, and like therapy, and like every self-help book you could possibly like freaking imagine, and I'm not kidding. So like 80% of my library used to be that kind of stuff, and then just to be honest, like I straight up burnt out, and like I'm kind of at the point now where I'm like, I don't want a book to change and help me anymore. Now I teach this stuff and I don't want to read any more about it. Yet I'm drawn to certain books and I'm happy that they're here. But through this shift, I've been trying to have more fun with novels because it's giving me a mental break, because my work is already mentally intense and my life is already emotionally intense and mentally intense enough to get a break and go into a novel. So I'm on that bender now. Woohoo! And I also love talking to my friends about books because it's light and fun. And yeah, life is heavy and life is freaking intense, and there's a global crisis going on right now, so why not read and have a little bit of a break and a little bit of a reprieve in it all. All right, so what are you guys reading right now? Why don't you put it in the comments or join me on book reads. All right, so maybe I'll start with what I'm like currently reading. Now, I feel like super lucky that this used bookstore is like epic here. I think the reason it's epic is because I'm in an international city, so people from all over the world donate books, or, you know, maybe bring a book on a plane and then drop it there because they don't want to travel, which makes it this like crock pot of like amazing shit. Like, I have been able to find stuff. I hope you can't hear my super noisy neighbors or the construction. Finding peace and quiet in the jungle has been a nightmare. So that's why I'm reading so much. So anyway, it's this like melting pot of like epic stuff. And I'm not kidding, because like, for example, when I was at home, I really wanted to read Discovery of Witches series. So maybe I'll start there. And I went everywhere. Couldn't find it at these bookstores, couldn't find it at the library. When I went to Barnes & Noble to get it, they were like not really in good quality, or they'd have like one left with like the movie thing on the front, which I hate, by the way. So I was like, I'm gonna hold off on this book even though people recommend it. Anyway, guess what I found in the bookstore? The second 2 books of Discovery of Witches. Now, it wasn't easy to find because they weren't really like in order or anything, but I found one, and then I was like, oh my God, if there's one, there might be more. And I like hunted through the whole novel section till I found the 3rd one. So I'm reading the first one on Kindle, which I don't love doing, so I've been in and out of reading that for a while, but it's super epic, guys, and I have the second 2 books. And I want to get through that because I would love to get lost in the series. Have you guys read it? I think it's excellent so far. It was funny, I was trying to read this like really horrible murder mystery that I found, to the point where I was like, ugh, and I like threw the book and then got rid of it because it was like really that bad. But I gave it halfway through. Anyway, I switched over to Discovery of Witches like right afterwards, just to get my mind off how bad the other book was. And like, the quality of the writing and the pace, I really love that book. So I'm also reading that too, but I don't have it with me, and I'm resistant to reading on my phone because I guess I'm just really old school about this stuff. So anyway, I'm really excited about the Discovery of Witches. Also, there's been other series that I found. This one stood out to me. It's the 2nd book in a 7 series book, but the cool thing about it is that you don't have to read them in order. So I snagged it, and I'm excited to have connecting books around this when I finish it. So I'm like, I don't know, a couple hundred pages in. Yeah, I'm like 230 pages in, called The Storm Sister, and this book is like super cool. It's paced well, but it's not paced like a mystery or psychological thriller, really. So I am also reading like another kind of thriller book as well. And what's really cool about this book is that for the series, the premise is the same. It's about these 7 sisters that were all adopted from around the world. And their adoptive father dies and gives them a clue about their backgrounds, and each one of them has their own kind of like journey out back into the world and through the past to kind of like uncover where they came from. It's pretty sweet. So this one is pretty cool. It has to do in Norway, and the way that the book is it's like in sections of the main character now, like in present time, and then it goes back like 100 years or so, and it starts to connect. So I've really enjoyed this book so far. I'm definitely going to dive back into it. And I'm excited also to hear about the other books, because each one of the sisters has like a really unique personality. And then also they go to different places around the world. So I picked this because I feel a really strong draw to Norway. I'm pretty sure it's in my blood. And anytime I watch anything with Vikings, I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely Viking. And my cousin said the same thing. So I'm excited to explore Norway even deeper through this book and all the epic stuff that happens in it. It's really good so far, and I'm looking forward to that. So this is what I'm currently reading. I'm also currently reading, so it's called The Storm Sister by Lucinda Riley. Sorry, I know I'm talking really fast. And I've already told a couple people about this because I want my girlfriends to get into this series. I don't think I'm gonna be able to find another one out here in the bookstore, but I don't know. Cool stuff happens out here. But would be excited to go home and read this. So the other one that I'm currently reading, I'm almost about halfway through, is called The Dry by Jane Harper. And I also have another book which is like kind of a sequel. You don't have to read them in order, but it's called Force of Nature by Jane Harper. These are more like thriller, crime, yeah. And I really, like, what I've noticed about my reading is that sometimes I'll read like a slower paced book or something that's a little bit more, I don't know, has a different flavor, and then what I'll do to kind of like read faster or like stimulate myself is I jump into a thriller. Now, I first got this one, and then when I looked at the reviews, I heard that it was good to read this one first, but I don't think you have to. It's not like, they're not like in order or whatever. But when I first found Jane Harper, she's an Australian author, there were multiple copies of these books. So I think there was like 2 of these and 2 of these. So I snagged this one. It's been sitting here for a bit. And then last time I went back to return the last 2 books that I finished, there was only 1 copy left, and it was sitting in the front. And after I read the reviews, I was like, let me snag that because it might be gone. That's what I like about used bookstores. It's like kind of like a roulette gamble, you know? It's like you never know what's going to be there. So I'm kind of like a impulse intuitive buyer, and I have to restrain myself. But it's more fiscally responsible and economic to go to used bookstores in the sense, because every time I used to go to Barnes & Noble, I couldn't walk out spending $100. And that's not very sustainable, especially if you don't read them all. So I learned my lesson with that one. So I usually only go there when it's like a book I know I want, and I know I want high quality. I'm also really picky about used bookstores, so I don't buy like shitty looking books. This is like brand new. A lot of the books I've gotten are like brand new, so that's pretty sweet. Anyway, so this is good. It's not super fast paced. It just started picking up after 100 pages, but it is really good, and I do really like it. It's set in the Australian bush during a big drought, and there's a murder mystery. A guy comes home after 20 years of being away, and one of his good friends and his family were all murdered, so they're trying to figure that out, and also a secret that was why he left. And I'm really enjoying it so far, so I'll give you guys a review when I am done. What got me was David Baldacci. Sorry guys, I don't know how to pronounce things. One of the most stunning debuts I've ever read. That sold me. And also the fact that there's another book from the authors. I'm looking forward to that. All right, so that's what I'm currently reading. And why don't I just talk more about the thrillers? So another book that stood out to me. So in the bookstore, I have so much fun like hunting through the different sections and like feeling things out. And then sometimes so for example, My Sister, the Serial Killer. Now, when I first saw that, it stood out to me, and I was like, I don't know if I want to read that. Like, that sounds kind of gross, and like, I don't know. Like, as much as I love murder mysteries, I'm not really into like anything super gory. So anyway, I saw this and I was like, oh, cool. I think I saw that somewhere. And then I was on Goodreads and I was looking at reviews, and they were epic. So then the next time I went, I picked it up, and I'm really excited about this one because apparently it's like also kind of funny, and it's about the relationship between the 2 sisters and that bond and all the dysfunction and all the things. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think this might actually be the next one that I start once I finish one of these other ones. Also in mystery, Dan Brown, The Origin. So there's like mixed reviews about this book, but I read the Da Vinci Code like way back in the day, like in high school or something like that. And I remember really like enjoying the mystery behind it and the occult. Obviously, I'm super into occult knowledge and all that kind of stuff. So I picked this up, because I thought it might be fun to revisit Dan Brown. Now, the reviews aren't great for this, so I'm not sure like how I would love it or not, but I was just happy to have another Dan Brown because I've already read something. What do you guys think? Have you read it? Would love to know. So that is my like crime, thriller, psychological, fast read books. Then I got the Discovery of Witches All Souls trilogy, and I got some other novels. Then I want to switch over into the kind of like personal development, close to my heart and soul. Also, if you don't feel like watching me ramble and you'd like to just get to those sections, I'll put the timing in the description so you can skip ahead. Alrighty. So what else? Okay. So I got this a while ago, like months ago, a couple months ago, and I actually started it. I started reading it, and you know, this book is like, so it's The Room by Emma Donoghue. So I know this is like put into a movie or something like that. It's basically narrated from a perspective of a child. That's like the main voice in this, which is apparently quite ambitious, and it was a winner of like all these awards. So this is kind of one of those books where like I feel like it's worth a read, yet I haven't been like super drawn. When I first started it, it was good, but it didn't really like, I don't know, I think this might be one of those kind of books where it's like timing and you're really impacted by it. I don't know, have you guys read it? I was just happy to have it here because I knew that it stood out, and usually when I find international bestsellers, I snag them, and at least want to give them a chance. So that's on the TBR as well. Now, I also grabbed At the Water's Edge by Sarah Gruen. Now, she's the author of Water for Elephants. This book does not have the same kind of reviews as Water for Elephants, but I read Water for Elephants years ago, maybe like 2010 or 2011 or something like that, and I really enjoyed it. Like I really, like there was a point in my life where I was commuting from Connecticut down to New York City, and it was like down to the World Financial Center, next to the Twin Towers, and so I would read on the train every day. So it really got me into practice. I normally read like self-development stuff and then would kind of mix it up with the novel. And I really liked Water for Elephants. So I got this because I think the reason I get some authors I already know is because I feel a sense of like, okay, if I read them before and I really like them, like it makes me feel kind of safer in like carrying all these books around. So what did you guys think of this? I think it has something to do with like the Loch Ness Monster or something like that. I don't know. I haven't looked too much into it, but it looks pretty cool. And yeah, so that's on there too. All right, also, this one I'm excited about. It's called Home Fire by Camilla Shamsi. Anyway, there were 2 copies of this in the bookstore. The other one had like the updated reviews for this book, and it won a ton of awards, like the Man Booker Prize 2017, Awestruck, all these things. I know it's a bit political in the sense. I don't know the full synopsis to share it with you guys, but I know that this is like a really big top read. So I picked it up because it looked fascinating. So yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to this too. I think I definitely want to read this before I leave. Now, the funny thing about these books is that they're really only a couple bucks. So what I'm excited about is that I found these good reads, you know, and I'll probably have to prioritize because I have no idea how long I'm going to be stuck in Bali for, and I know I definitely won't be able to get to all these things. So anyway, last but not least, on the novel front is The Last Concubine by Leslie Downer. So I was literally like sitting in the corner of the bookshop. Like, have you guys ever been in a bookshop and you like read so many backs of books and reviews that like you have a headache and you're just like, what the hell did I just read, and like what do I want to buy, and maybe I should get the hell out of here. All right, well anyway, I was sitting there and all of a sudden this literally like fell off, like jumped off the shelf right in front of me, and it was like smack, and I was like, okay. Now this is in Japan in 1865, and it is like a historical fiction. I actually really do like historical fiction. I didn't realize like how much I liked it until I recently read Euphoria by Lily King. You can check out the book review, I'll put it down there. And I really liked Memoirs of a Geisha. Like I really liked it, and I was surprised how much I liked it, and going back in time with that. So anyway, I was drawn to this. I don't know if I'm gonna like get through it super quickly, but yeah. Have you guys read it? Okay, that's the end of my novel rant. Now let's switch over to my beloved other books, nonfiction books. Now I brought these books with me, which was ambitious, but I didn't know how long I was gonna be out here, and I wanted some hard copies. So, and also, there's some books on here that I really want to give reviews to, so I don't know how long I'm gonna like go into all the deets, but I have a feeling that these 4 books I will definitely be reviewing in thorough detail for a lot of reasons. All right, so where do I start? So, Tales of a Wounded Healer by Mariah, Fenton, Gladis. So this is kind of like, okay, I've had this book for a while, like over a decade. I knew Mariah for most of my life. My mother and her worked together, and she was like, kind of like a second mom to me, and she was a 30-year survivor of Lou Gehrig's disease and ran the Pennsylvania Gestalt workshop for psychotherapy and Gestalt training. Now, I not only knew her intimately, like on a family level, but also worked with her doing workshops and her Gestalt training before her passing just a few years ago. In 2018, I believe, which was completely heartbreaking, and she had a huge impact on my life. So my mom gave me this book. We have like multiple copies of it at home. And there is a letter from my mom in 2008, so it's been a while. Now, I've already read a majority of this book. Now, the last time I truly remember like really diving into it, I was on a plane going to Texas, like Houston or something, I believe, for my Leadership Scholar program. And I started reading it after a conference on leadership, and I was bawling my eyes out on the plane. So I was like, I'm just gonna hold off because it's gonna be really emotional for me. Now I've picked at certain pieces, and it's basically, Mariah's story and also her teachings with Gestalt therapy. And I think I've been resistant to this or not completing it only because it has such an emotional connection to me. And when I came out to Bali, I was really, in this like healing, like really going deep into some really big trauma healing in certain areas of my life, and also really working on my business. And I wanted to bring this out because I wanted to keep it with me as a reminder, and really wanting to also stay close to home. So Tales of a Wounded Healer by Mariah, Fenton, Gladis. I know once I finish this book, I will give a very thorough other review, and I already highly recommend it because Mariah, I wouldn't be who I am today if it weren't for Mariah Gladis. So there's that before I get super emotional. Speaking of trauma, this book is called Complex PTSD From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. I'm actually also currently reading this. And this was recommended years ago, so I bought it, and I also brought it out because a couple of my friends out here also wanted to read it, and I know that it's not something easy to find out in Indonesia. So I brought it out and also lent it to some friends. And I really loved like the book The Body Keeps the Score, for example, and I really truly believe that most people have trauma or PTSD and don't know about it, including myself. I always knew that I had traumatic experiences, but didn't recognize that I was working on symptoms of PTSD for many years without knowing that I had it. So even though I'm resistant to read this book, I brought it out to make myself read it and also share it with my friends. And I've actually been really impressed with this book. And the reason I am is because Pete Walker is actually somebody that personally, he's a therapist, but also has it himself. And this is a really practical guide, and it's a really heartfelt guide, and I have really enjoyed it so far. So this is like, I kind of bring out these ones because they're more like life manuals, and you know, if something comes up and I start reading it, I'm always happy that I do, even if I'm resistant towards it. So this is something I've really enjoyed. I've also recommended it to friends of mine, and there's just some really helpful and practical tools about what it's like to just the dynamics of what trauma does, and also how to cope in healthy ways and things like that. So I already recommend this book, even though I didn't finish it, but I'll do more of a thorough review when I'm done. Okay, so next is Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa, Pinkola, Estes. So I've already read this book like 100 times, and this is a book that I have just been waiting to give a review for, like publicly, because I think this is one of the best books of all time. And the reason, now I think I haven't read like a little bit of this book towards the end or something like that, but I've reread like many sections of this book. I have 3 copies. I have another big newer copy at home, and I also have an iBook version of it, just in case, because it's kind of one of those books that I want to have with me at all times, just in case. So anyway, this is my first version I got like a decade ago, literally. This book has transformed the way that I see my life and women and the psyche. It's freaking incredible. Every woman should own this book, hands down. It's a mix of old myth stories with her psychoanalysis, and she is badass. Like seriously, get this freaking book. And I brought it out because every time I've come to Bali during big trips, like I've taken this book all over the world with me, and like I was so happy I brought it during the last big trip that I had here. So it's kind of one of my token books that's small enough to travel with, and you know, I haven't dived back into it this time, but I'm going to soon. And also it's a book that I, you know, would hand over to people, and I've let people borrow, but it's like legitimately falling apart. Like this is actually happening. And I know there's pages missing, but I don't care, because this is a classic and everybody should have it. And I have a bunch of notes and all the good things. Anyway, go get this book. Last but definitely not least is The Art of Contemplation by Richard Rudd. If you haven't seen some other videos, I've been actually working with Richard for the last couple years, and he is the author of The Gene Keys as well. And this I got actually when I met him, and we began to work together just a few years ago, and it's signed. So this is a small book. I actually haven't read it yet. Now I can't tell you how many times I've read The Gene Keys. There's definitely a book review coming with that. And I, you know, obviously recommend that book to everybody on the planet. And there's also certain ways to get the most out of that book. But the reason I actually have read some of this. Okay, I'm lying. I've picked it up and I've read through some of it, but I haven't actually, because of so much change and moving, and also my overdose of Human Design, The Gene Keys, over like a 6-7 year span of just like nonstop reading and working with it, I kind of needed a bit of a mental break from just like constantly reading about these systems. But this is apparently a synthesis of Richard's wisdom. And I brought it out because I wanted to see it and make a point of really cherishing this. And there's some goodies in here that I've already read that is amazing. And Richard had said, like, I actually got this at a live workshop when this book was launched. And apparently he said that this is a synthesis of his wisdom, you know, and it doesn't teach the Gene Keys, but it teaches more of the boiled down wisdom of contemplating, or how to digest this stuff. So I've listened to a bunch of stuff from Richard about the art of contemplation, and that has revolutionized the way that I think in my life, the way that I work with Human Design, The Gene Keys, the way that I coach and mentor people with this work, all the things. Richard's a freaking genius, and I'm excited to get into this out here at some point, and if not here, definitely at home. But so those are the 4 books that like are really dear to my heart, and that's why I brought them out here, because I wanted to see them as a reminder to make sure that I actually got into them while I've been out here. But last 6 months I've just been in go work mode, healing mode, move mode, transformation mode. So that is my stuck in Bali, semi-lockdown quarantine, don't know when the hell I'm going home, or how long I'm even staying in this place, or what the F is going on in this world. But through that, I've been trying to have some fun with my books, and I hope that you've had fun sharing this journey with me. So, what do you think I should read next? So, I don't know. But yeah, I'm currently reading like 3 novels and some of these books. But once I complete them, would love to give you guys more thorough reviews, would love to know how you like this video. If you have any recommendations, would love to hear that. And I'm really enjoying the kind of like adventure in trying to find good books while I'm out here, and kind of having like this side passion project through the chaos and uncertainty of reality and life and all the things that are going on right now. So I hope you're safe and healthy wherever you are in the world. I hope that you have positive distractions during this global crisis, or whenever the hell you find this video. And yeah, thanks for sharing this love for books, and maybe a little bit more book buying than book reading. But I'm trying to balance out all the books I have to how many that I've read, and try to cycle some of those out. So I truly do believe that there's like timing for books and timing for reading, and that's kind of also why I have patience with some of these other ones. Like, for example, this one is all about timing, guys. You know, it's not something to rush through. It's something to digest and process and reread and that kind of thing. So anyway, lots of love to you guys. Would love to hear from you. Make sure to leave some love in the comments, or any kind of feedback you have about any of the books that I read, or if you'd like me to do reviews about certain books, all the things. So excited to share this journey with you guys, and thanks so much for your support along the way. Lots of love.